In this video, we'll be taking a look at the results of the 2025 elections. So first off, I'm going to state that my prediction overall was awful. There are many things I got wrong, just a couple races, but the main shocker to me is the margins in many of these races. So we'll be taking a look at that in this video. Start this off, we'll look at the Virginia elections. This one is one where I didn't do as bad as some other ones. I had Spanberger winning by about 10.5 points. It's looking like she's on track to win by a little bit over 15 points. Which that right there is a shocker to me, honestly. I don't think any of the data was pointing to a 15-point win for Spanberger. Towards the end, polls started to be about 9 to 10 points. I got it right that it will be double digits, so that race is not one I'm as disappointing in getting wrong here. But 15 points is an insane overperformance of the Democrats here. I mean, just look at that. They were able to get a decent amount of votes too, which is several hundred thousand more than Youngkin even got in 2021. And it was much higher turnout than even 2017, so turnout there has definitely increased. And then Sears just didn't run a good campaign at all. She was not a good candidate at all. I figured she'd lose by double digits, but she lost by 15 points here, so it really shows how energized the Democrats were to turn out here. And then the lieutenant governor election, it was double digits as well. I really didn't expect that to happen, but the underperformance of the gubernatorial candidate, that margin I got pretty close as well, because I had Spanberger winning by 10.5, and then I had Hashmi winning by 6, so that's about a 4.5 point underperformance. It was pretty close to that because Spanberger won by 15, and then Hashmi's winning by close to 11, so in terms of that, I got it pretty close. But then here's the most shocking one, is that Jay Jones, he actually won this race here. I really thought Miaras was going to get it this time. After those scandals, it really showed, the data overall showed that Miaras is going to win. Towards the end, the polls did tighten some, where either Jones was winning or it was a tie. So that right there could have been enough evidence to show Jones would win, but it's more shocking that Jones, he outperformed Harris in 2024. So this margin is bigger than what Harris won the state by in 2024, which just shows how high Democrat turnout was in the state of Virginia. In Northern Virginia especially, that's where Trump did better than Miaras in that area. A lot of it is just because Spanberger won by 15%, so that was enough to help carry Jay Jones to a likely blue victory here. This is probably the race that shocked most people at night. So that's for the state of Virginia there. And then we'll look at the state of New Jersey. This one I had Seattle winning by about 2 points. I was clearly wrong about that. I wouldn't have been surprised if Cheryl won the state, but it's very surprising she won it by 13 points here. 13 whole points. This is pre-2021 New Jersey right here. As you see the counties here, that's about what it looked like in 2020 when Biden's victory in the state. So this is an insane overperformance for the Democrats here. And it's more shocking as we look at polling. The polling had it pretty close. And I figured that it would underestimate the Republican Jack Seattle again, but clearly it overestimated him this time, because looking at the aggregate in 2021, it had Murphy winning by a high likely. Some polls even had it safe blue, so people thought this race would not be close. But it was close in 2021. But in 2025, the race was not close at all. Cheryl won by a decisive victory. And right here, it just shows turnout for Democrats was super high throughout the nation here in all these states. Because if we look in 2021, Phil Murphy got 1,339,471 votes. Currently, C.I. Riley in 2025 is beating that by several thousand votes here. Several tens of thousands. So right here, C.I. Riley got more votes than he did in 2021, but Cheryl was able to get way more votes than Murphy did in 2021. So it was all about that turnout there. Democrats were able to increase it a lot from other off-year elections. It's virtually somewhere in between an off-year cycle and a presidential cycle. That's what helped them win by so much here. So that's for the state of New Jersey. It was a big shocker, and that's one where I completely failed on my prediction, saying C.I. Riley would win by 2 points. And then polling here actually overestimated Republicans. And then we'll go on to the New York mayoral election here. This one is one where actually Mamdani underperformed the polls. Looks like all the ones I would think the candidate would overperform, they actually underperform, vice versa. Like, I thought Mamdani would outperform polls just like he did in the primary, and I had him winning by about 26 points because I thought Andrew Cuomo wouldn't get this much percent. The race was under 10 points, and Cuomo actually made it closer than I thought it would be. I really thought Cuomo would probably get up to 30% of the vote, while Sliwa would get about 15 to 17. About 15.7, I believe, is what my final margin was for Sliwa. But instead, looks like Sliwa, he couldn't even get 8%. He only got 7% of the vote. I did have it correct that Staten Island will go for Cuomo. That's something I did have correct. It did go a lot for Cuomo, though, if you look at the results there. Taking a look here, we can find Staten Island here. Went hard for Cuomo. Looking at that, let me find the results. Yeah, it's not letting me look at it, but anyways, it went to him by like 55%, and then Mamdani got about 22% of the vote there. That's what it looks like. Anyways, a lot of this is partially because many Republicans just decided to vote for Cuomo instead of Sliwa because they thought Sliwa wouldn't have a shot. But Mamdani overall got over 50% of the vote. I got that part right. But the margin was way closer. I really underestimated Cuomo in this race. So overall, my prediction was not good at all. I did have Proposition 50 passing, but it passed by more than I thought it would. If we look at that, it passed almost 64% of the vote. I had it passing by 19.6%, but this is much bigger than I thought it would be. Looks like Democrats were just really energized to vote for this proposition here, which is understandable. But many of these counties that flipped to Trump right here, Riverside, San Bernardino, and Imperial, they went hard for this measure. A lot of it is just these lower propensity Republicans weren't turning out for these elections at all. Then another one, I know I didn't predict this one, but voting ID clearly didn't pass in the state of Maine. It wasn't even close there. And that's looks about it for this. And then Pennsylvania, I mean, I did low coverage on it. There wasn't much data out there. I was completely wrong about that. All three judges got retained, no problem. By a lot more than even I would expect. But I just didn't put much time into predicting that. That was my most flawed prediction, but most people didn't predict that race anyway, so not much for me to lose there. But probably the main two shockers for me is Mikey Sherrill winning by as large of a margin as she did here, where she won by 13 points. That was number one shocker to me. And then Jay Jones, he won And what makes it even more of a shocker is that he outperformed Harris in this election. So overall, this was a really good night for the Democrats. They were clearly energized to vote in these elections. And Republicans, many of them were sitting at home. They didn't turn out very well. So that's the main reason why the Democrats did so well in 2025. We'll keep on looking for the 2026 elections and beyond. I don't know what I will change, but there will probably be some changes to my predictions in 2026. But we'll just see what happens. Thank you everyone for watching. Be sure to comment down below, like and subscribe. Let me know how you feel about this video and upcoming elections, what you think would change in the 2026 election, or if you think not much would change. Thank you everyone for watching. Bye.